All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are tackling a massive challenge that so many of us face. I mean, how do we get incredibly fit, build real strength, and break a serious sweat all inside a tiny apartment? And do it without a single piece of fancy equipment? And, most importantly, without making the neighbors completely hate us. Okay, let's dive into this. To really understand our mission today, you gotta hear this hilarious yet terrifyingly relatable story from the creators at Fitness Blender. So, they were just doing a normal home workout, right? Then they go downstairs to drop off rent, and the apartment manager actually asks them, "Do you dance around at night or something?" Because the downstairs neighbors are wondering what on earth you're doing up there. I mean, that right there establishes our absolute core constraint. We need routines that maximize results, but literally eliminate the pounding on the floor. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The home workout dilemma. 2. Apartment-friendly minimalist routines. 3. Pull-ups without a bar. 4. The power of isometrics. And 5. Avoiding the quarantine 15. Section 1. The home workout dilemma. Navigating space, noise, and neighborly peace. Section 2. Apartment-friendly minimalist routines. Packing a punch without the pounding. Look, we all want to stay active, but if your living room is basically the size of a closet and your jumping jacks sound like a literal construction zone to the person living below you, it's incredibly frustrating. The biggest misconception about home cardio is that you actually have to jump around to get your heart rate up. But as the experts point out, strength training is actually the absolute perfect neighbor-friendly alternative. Why? Because lifting or any kind of resistance work has a massive impact on your muscles, but zero impact on the floor. You can break a huge sweat and build muscle entirely quietly. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what I'm talking about. Take the couch hip thrust, demonstrated by personal trainer Rachel Baca. You just rest your shoulders right on the edge of your couch, plant your feet shoulder-width apart, and drive your hips straight up toward the ceiling. Boom. You are targeting your glutes and hamstrings just as effectively as you would on a heavy gym bench. Your everyday furniture is literally your new workout equipment. You can completely torch your entire lower body in a footprint no larger than a standard yoga mat. Like, for instance, you can sequence a wide stance sumo squat, where your toes are pointed outwards, directly into a curtsy lunge. You don't need 50 feet of gym turf to get an incredible leg workout. You really just need enough room to step from side to side. The key here is that perfect control, balance, and time under tension are completely replacing the need for heavy gym equipment. When you lunge down past parallel and you keep your weight perfectly directed over the heel of your front foot, that slow, controlled movement forces your muscles to work overtime. And again, you haven't made a single sound. Section 3. Pull-ups without a bar. Defeating the hardest home exercise. Okay, so the pulling motion is notoriously the absolute hardest thing to replicate in a home environment, at least without buying one of those bulky pull-up bars that ends up ruining your door frame. To defeat this, the team at Nerd Fitness gamifies the whole process brilliantly with a 4-level progression path to get you to your very first unassisted pull-up. You start at step 1 with simple rows using heavy objects. Step 2 lowers the angle with inverted bodyweight rows. Then, step 3 introduces assistance, like using a chair or a resistance band. And finally, step 4 is the negative pull-up, where you jump up to the top of the door frame and slowly, agonizingly lower yourself down. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer creativity of the household hacks you can use for these pulling exercises. Don't have dumbbells? No problem. Just grab your doorframe for doorway rows. Want to make it harder? Tie a couple of hand towels around the doorknob, lean back, and pull. You can even lay a sturdy broomstick right across 2 heavy chairs for inverted rows. Just a quick safety tip, though. Always make sure the door you use opens away from you, so you don't take an unexpected tumble mid-workout. Section 4. The power of isometrics. Big gains with zero dynamic movement. If you really want to unlock elite home strength, we have to look at the actual science of muscle contraction. So what exactly are isometrics? Well, the definition makes it super clear. They are continual, tiny contractions happening deep inside the muscle without any visible joint movement. From the outside, you look completely static. You're just frozen. But internally, your muscles are absolutely screaming. Just because you're standing still definitely does not mean it's easy. The experts at TeamBuildr actually break this down into 2 distinct types. First up, we have yielding isometrics. This is when you're resisting gravity. Think of holding a solid plank or staying seated in a brutal wall sit. Then we have overcoming isometrics. This is when you try to push or pull an entirely immovable object. Imagine trying to pull a parked car or a literal tree stump out of the ground, or pushing as hard as humanly possible against a solid brick wall. You aren't moving it, but the force you're exerting is massive. So, the crucial point is the number 5. Research shows that during a maximum isometric contraction, you actually activate about 5% more muscle fibers than you do during standard dynamic movements, like lowering or lifting a weight. That 5% increase in neural drive, that is exactly how you trick your body into gaining real strength without ever picking up a barbell. To actually implement this in your living room, you want to use supersets. You basically pair a traditional dynamic movement with a yielding isometric to safely pre-fatigue the muscle. For example, you might do 10 step-back lunges and then immediately follow it with a 20-second low split squat hold. Or knock out a set of push-ups, immediately followed by holding yourself right at the halfway point. It completely forces muscle growth using only your body weight, safely and, best of all, silently. Section 5. Avoiding the Quarantine 15. Holistic lifestyle tips for success. Now, all these fantastic apartment workouts aren't going to do much if we aren't supporting them with the right lifestyle and nutrition habits, right? So let's round out our toolkit. Trainer Rachel Balica gives us some incredibly practical, rapid-fire tips for staying on track, especially when your kitchen is literally 5 feet away from your desk. First, track your food intake with an app so you stay conscious of those sneaky extra bites. Second, try an 8-hour intermittent fasting window to really structure your eating. Third, and this is a big one, never, ever bring food to the couch. Mindless eating is for sure the fastest way to derail your progress. And finally, I absolutely love this rule. Do 1 minute of exercise like jumping jacks or push-ups for every single episode of Netflix you watch. Gotta keep that daily movement high. Which brings us to our final thought. We've proven that lack of space is not an excuse. We've proven that lack of weights is definitely not an excuse. And we've absolutely proven that downstairs neighbors are not an excuse. So I leave you with this. With zero equipment and a tiny apartment, what is actually stopping you from getting into the best shape of your life starting today? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Now go find a towel, grab a door frame, and get to work.